My name is Susan Rose, and welcome to All About Artist. And
Hey, hi,
today
Sue.
we welcome artist Paul Bridgman, an artist from the
Hi.
United Kingdom. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Oh, thank you so much, Sue. It's an absolute honor to be on here.
Before we start, I'd like to thank Matthew Tucker, Joanne Holbert, Nicole Brown for making the show possible today, because without them, there'd be no show. Paul,
Thanks, guys.
who
Yeah,
were the earliest influence in your art?
I would say my mum and my aunties, they all taught me to draw. But as for art itself, I used to love Disney. I really, really did love Monet and all the sort of impressionists when I was very little. But my big influence was Salvador Dali. Once I found him, he was my passion. Um, as I say, and I've also loved dot illustrations and pen and ink. Like they always seem very visceral to me, as opposed to a lot of color.
How old were you when you began drawing? And did anyone teach you?
Um, my 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 mum and my aunties
Yeah.
all actually taught me, but they taught me because I was watching my auntie draw, and I asked if I could have a piece of paper. So to keep me quiet, she gave me a piece, and I copied what she drew, and she said, "That's mine." And I said, "No, I just drew it." And she said, "No, you can't have drawn that. You're too little." And because I was just preschool, so I don't
Wow.
know what age I was, but I hadn't started at school yet. And when she realized that it was mine, because she made me draw it again, she said, "Oh, see if you can draw this, and can you draw this?" So that was my auntie Helen, but my aunties Maria and Louise and my mother Rose all took over in shifts there to show me how to draw things when I needed it. And they were very patient. And Louise taught me a lot about color. And it was just a very happy start to drawing. And when I went to school, my teachers absolutely spoiled me rotten because they got me to paint a mural in the hall that was still there
Oh.
maybe 10 years later when my younger brother was there, which made me very, very happy when I found that out.
Who were your childhood art heroes?
Oh, childhood art, definitely Disney. I liked all the Hanna-Barbera artists. Um, uh, let me see. Oh, and I really, really did love Leonardo da Vinci. Just thought he was amazing. But and I was also very influenced by Egyptian art, like the tomb art of Tutankhamun's mask. Um, and basically was addicted to museums by that time. You know, if I could go and look at art in a museum, I was there. But as I say, but yes, I think I also love Van Gogh, but I only found out about Van Gogh from the John McClane song "Vincent," and I thought, who was that? So I looked him up, and I was so glad I did. To, as I say, other artists, you see now. Yes, I think basically I did love Picasso as well, but it was mainly his color than the actual content of the pictures, which is a terrible thing to say about somebody so talented, but it was in that case.
Paul, do you have current art?
I'm sorry,
Current art? Your current art?
my current art. Um, I really do love a guy called Michael Hetter that is a German artist, and I called him accidentally on my phone because I followed him on Facebook. And we ended up collaborating on two poems. Like I wrote poems to go with his paintings. So we've become very good friends. Also, I love an artist called Nebojsa Zradkovic, who does the most beautiful scenery, portraiture, life drawing. It's just an amazing guy. As for people I think that are really, really well known, I love Damien Hirst's work very much. And Banksy, I have to say, Banksy is so irreverent. You just can't help but love him. Just wonderful. And they're always such clever ideas, you know?
Paul, do you listen to music while you do
Very
you
much. Very,
you
very
do?
much so. I tend to love to listen to very psychedelic music when I'm drawing. But I also love Kate Bush, Tori Amos, Barbara Streisand, people that sing songs that bring you emotions. You know, as I say, Pink Floyd are a huge one, and Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, very, very eclectic taste. I also love like Mozart, Beethoven, and I absolutely adore opera. You know, especially sopranos. I tend to love the female vocals. They're so stirring. You know, they really can lift your spirit if you're needing inspiration. Excuse me, Sue. But as I say, if I listen to something like One Fine Day, you know, from Madame Butterfly, that will send my spirits soaring with the beauty and the emotion in that music.
Yes, I kind of like that kind of music myself.
Oh God, yes. There's nothing like it. I mean, Casta Diva is possibly my favorite from Norma. That's an absolutely lovely song, and it's so great that John Paul Gaultier has started to use it, so we can actually hear it on the TV all the time.
Sometimes when your accent on the TV, sometimes people say telly.
Telly, that's right. Yeah,
Like
telly.
your
I love
accent.
that word.
Your
It's
accent is I can understand you, but the last one I had on, I couldn't understand her. But your accent is good,
well.
and you speak very slowly, and that's wonderful.
Oh, thank
How
you.
how do you I mean, who do you enjoy collaborating with?
Oh, oh my goodness, collaboration. I collaborated with a friend called Chris Shopland a little while back, who's another very good artist, and we basically did some art that I'm not really familiar with. It was kind of scumbled and moved about, and Chris posed for some of my life drawings and what have you. But as I say, Michael had to. Of course, we collaborated on some poems, but we've never collaborated artistically. But I'd love to collaborate with Michael. I would also love to collaborate with Clive Barker. And Clive, in fact, liked and shared a, a, an image that I've done from his book Abarat, which was Mater Motley, who's the villain in that book. I don't know if you've read it yourself. It's just mind blowing. It's so creative and imaginative. He's somebody that I really very, very do much worship as an artist and writer. You know, he's just inspirational, and he never seems to go the way that you expect him to, but it doesn't spoil it by just being something silly and pointless. You know, so I definitely appreciate that in art and writing. But but yes, it was nice to have some contact from him saying how much he liked the painting, which was nice. But that was ink, so that was my pen and ink style. I think I sent some of that one to you. It's a very stern-looking woman holding a walking stick with a devil-may-care sort of look on her face. But it made me almost high for weeks. Just the fact that he liked it, you know.
You are an international best-selling author of 19 books. That's a lot of
That's
books. What would you tell us
I know
about that?
Um,
You
I
like,
write. on a quite eclectic level again. I write horror, I write poetry, I write children's books, and I illustrate them all, of course. But uh, how can you put? But horror is my passion. Although I've come to really love poetry since I started writing a lot of it, and sort of and children's stories. When I was a little kid, Mum used to work a lot, so I used to tell my brothers stories to keep them amused, and you know, they always loved it, and so it's passed on now that I tell their children like stories, horror stories, or make up silly poems to make them laugh. And they have now got me telling their children. So we're 3 generations in on all those things. But it was lovely the other week. I went out to my niece's my great niece's 18th birthday, and while we were at the party, one of her friends came up and she said, "Oh, Mr. Bridgman, will you sign my book?" And I said, "Oh my God," you know. And my niece said, "I'm so proud of you, Uncle Paulie." And I think stuff like that means so much, doesn't it? You know, but it is nice when you meet somebody who's read your work or like has really enjoyed it. I met one girl at the cinema the one day, and she was serving me, and she kept looking at me and going a bit blank, and she said, "Excuse me," she said, "Are you Paul Bridgman?" And I said, "Yes, love." And I said, "Why'd you ask?" And she said, "I've got all your books." And I said, "Are you sure? I've done a lot of them." And she said, she said, "Well, I'm not sure." And I said,
19.
"I might make you name them all, you know," and teased her a little bit. And
I'll
I
have to
said,
get
"So
one
what
of
is
them.
it that you like best?" And she said, "I love poetry." I said, "Well, I've got a new one on my phone. Would you like to hear it?" And she said, "Oh, my girlfriend is going to go crazy when I tell her I met you and you read me a poem." And I said, "Well, I'm regularly here. Next time that I'm down, ring your girlfriend and get her to come down after the film. We'll all go for a coffee because I'd love to hear
Oh, that's
what you
lovely.
thought of my books and my stories, and and I think we should be grateful to the people that buy our books and help us to continue making art and books, because without them, what would be the point? I love to show my art. I love to read my stories. It's just a huge pleasure. I don't think I could ever find it in me to not be glad to meet somebody that liked even or even didn't like my books. I made a friend of mine laugh at one of my early exhibitions of art. I actually put a book out for people to put their opinions in. And one person said about one of my paintings, £400, I wouldn't give you 4 pence. And I couldn't stop laughing. And my friend said, "Aren't you insulted?" I said, "Art is, not your own personal view. If somebody else thinks it's
Right.
rubbish, who am I to tell them no? And he said, "But I can't believe you're laughing." I said, "I just love it. I love it that it's so straightforward." But as I say, it's a very enjoyable experience, though, to read through the comments.
Well, maybe we could see some of your paintings. Oh, that's,
Would you like to see one that I was doing when I was sitting here on the phone earlier?
you can't
Got,
see the painting. That's, you should be able to
does
see
that
the
show properly?
painting. This painting is very purple with yellow and purple on a purple
Oh,
background.
the mandala. Let me just have a quick look. There we are. Oh, I love mandalas. Do you know, when I was young, I used to suffer with anxiety. And when I discovered mandalas, I found something that took me out of myself, made me feel so calm and so happy that I immediately started to send them to my friends on their birthdays or draw them at school and help other people to learn how to do them. And even to this day, I mean, I have a site called Mandalala for people that love mandalas, and that it just actually went over 24,000 members yesterday. So I'm pretty happy about that. But as I say, it's lovely. I've also got 2 chats attached to that now, which mean that generally I've got more like 34,000 because the chats have got around about 4 or 5,000 members each. But
That's a
as I say,
lot of work.
yes, love those.
How about if we see another one? That one was beautiful. Oh my goodness, look at that.
Yes, I love loud colours. I'm a terror for colour. You might be able to tell from the shirt. Like, and my friends all say, "Do you always dress like that?" I said, "Of course I do. You know, like why would I not?" It's that's a good thing as well about the books and the arts is it lets you dress and behave exactly as you like. So I love that. But yes, those mandlas, they're definitely a big thing in my life. I always have a passion for them.
Yes, I loved your black and white one
Oh, I know.
also. I hope we
Do
get
you know
enough
they're my
time to get
favorites?
everything in.
They appeal to my
That's the one.
like. Oh, do you know? I did that about 2 3 months back, and I absolutely loved it. As soon as it was done, I'm a little bit self-critical, as we all are. And but when I saw that finished, I thought to myself, Paul, you know, you've made something really special there. You know, and I've been doing a lot more black and white ones, Susan. I'll send you a few when I'm off the phone because they're not a huge amount. But if you enjoy them so much, I'd love you to have a couple of them.
Thank you so much. That has
No
an
problem.
awful lot of detail in it. A lot
Oh,
of
I love
detail.
detail, as you
That's
know from my sketches.
enormous. I don't know how you do it, but oh, I don't think I could. But
Oh,
what would you consider your favorite artistic film?
my favorite artistic film. There's a film that I think was called Tree of Life with Sean Penn, and uh, it was a very heavy emotional film, but in between it was interspersed with a super detailed film of the underneath of trees with sunlight coming through, and you know waves crashing, huge vast sort of painted deserts. It was everything in it blew your mind one way or another, and then you drop back into the dark side of the film. But it was the photographs, the art, the things that were interspersed between the difficult parts of the film that actually made you feel that that film was just so wonderful because it could have been very different and tense if it hadn't have been for the art. So very beautiful. In fact, Alison Moyet, the singer, wrote a song called oh my goodness. Oh, she wrote a song about the film anyway, but which was just gorgeous. But I'll see if I can remember that before the end. So it's worth
Okay.
listening to.
Could we see a little bit more of your artwork?
Sure, sure.
It's more black and white. It's beautiful.
Oh, now that is actually an image from my friend for my friend's upcoming book. Her name is Sherry Murphy, and she lives in New England, and we collaborate a lot, like
Oh,
writing,
that's the
drawing,
collaboration.
and just generally gossiping. I guess she's one of my besties. I absolutely adore her. She's a lovely woman, and she writes like an angel too. If she's got several books out. One, Good Morning, My Loves, which is just little bits of wisdom she comes across in her day-to-day life, and the other is called Oh, In the Service of the King, and there's a series of two of those, but the third is coming out soon. But hopefully, somewhere we're going to intersperse this book, which is called um, Evangeline and Basil's Adventure. But there's also another one called Where's My Tiger that's coming out soon that will make you laugh a bit more because it's lighter and for children.
Well, I only have 3 books. You've got 19. I've got a ways to go to catch up with you.
I'm actually going to get some of those because I enjoy chatting to you. And I think when you enjoy chatting to someone, they've always got something worth reading, you know, or worth hearing from them. So that would be good.
When do we see one more piece of
But
your art? I love your artwork. I want people to see them
oh,
before the time runs out. Could we see
oh
that
goodness.
one there?
Uh, Now that is oddly enough inspired by an Alison Moyet song called "All Cried Out," which I think was a big hit in the States too. But she's somebody that I love, and also somebody that I missed out when I was saying who I listen to while I draw. But
What
she's one of my
medium? Oh, I'm
really,
sorry.
really huge people.
What medium do you usually like to use?
I love oils. When I've got time to sit down and really paint, I love oils. But if I want something to dry quickly, it's paints. But a real passion is any kind of ink. I love ink on paper, the translucence, you know, and sometimes combining the ink and watercolor together can make such an amazing change to the texture, the color, the feel of a painting. It's just lovely. I sometimes just layer things, you know, and I used to quite often paint over my oil paintings with like a little bit of a felt pen or something, you know, if I wanted to add a translucent sort of patch onto it. But you know, I just love every medium. My mum used to say to me when I was a child, all I needed was a piece of paper and a pen, and I was happy no matter what I was using to color it. But
Oh, let's get a couple more of
and
those paintings. Oh, look at this.
there's a very interesting story to that. My friend, I met a medium, and she told me that my grandmother had told her something about a copper kettle. And so I went over to see my friend in the evening, and he said, "Oh, I've got something for your mum." I said, "It wouldn't be a copper kettle, would it?" And he said, "Good God, how did you know?" And I swear to goodness this is true. I got into my car and I pushed the copper kettle under my seat. And when I was a little boy, I used to see a black figure in my room.
Oh,
And when I looked up into the window, the black figure was in the back of my car and it made me stall my car. And when
wow.
I got home, the copper kettle was gone and it was jammed very firmly under my seat. And sorry to be a bit spooky, but I think this is where my taste for horror comes. Is I've got a little bit of a psychic streak sometimes, you know. But I tend to be very cynical about it. It has to be noticeably, you know, it has to have a firm basis. I can't just believe whatever these feelings are that come. You know, they have to prove themselves.
Well, we've got about 4 minutes and 44 seconds to go. Remember how I told you how the
Cool.
time goes by fast?
Yes, it does. It
Shall we
certainly
see
does.
another one of your
Most
paintings?
enjoyable though. Oh, that is inspired by Dali there, as I say. And I love the night sky. If you want to see me happy, I'll be probably sitting under a moon or watching the moon slide across the sky or seeing stars, that kind of thing, you know, like but I also have a passion for beetles and insects, so they quite often appear in my paintings as anthropomorphic creatures, you know, like possibly human heads with insectile bodies. And even in my mandalas, you'll find that there are bees, beetles, crickets, all that kind of thing are hidden in them, you know. And I also like a little bit of a feeling of depth in the background of the paintings, you know, like they're in some huge sort of landscape. But this one, I was very happy when I actually had this one come out. But and surrealism is a big thing for me. I love it so much.
What is your favorite piece of artwork of all time?
My favorite piece of it would be either Hallucinogenic Toreador by Salvador Dali, because I love that he saw that face in the figure of Venus de Milo. I mean, to me, that was such a leap. Do you know what I mean? But it was perfect. It worked, and I'd always thought that it was a normal size painting. And when I visited the museum in St. Petersburg, it was the size of the side of a house. And I felt like the hallucinogenic toreador that's at the bottom of the painting, looking up at this gorgeous, super sort of spiritual Venus de Milo, like changing into so many images, and the image of Dali with the single tear made out of the Venus de Milo's body. It just, I thought, I think I'm imaginative, but I don't think I've even got a patch on Salvador's amazing work. You know, he was
Well,
my person I wanted to meet. I was so gutted when he actually passed, but I still enjoy his work as much. So,
I like
mustn't
Salvador
grumble.
Dali myself. Well, we've got a minute and 55 seconds left. Do you think we could show a quick another one of his paintings?
Yes. Oh, now that one. Somebody had been really, really annoying me in it, and they just in the end reminded me of a chattering monkey, and so it came out in this painting, which is sort of a digital painting in this case. But I must admit, you found one of my actual personal favorites there, and I think that for me, sometimes an eclipse sort of represents the blocking of energy, which is what I was trying to do so that I wouldn't get angry with this person on the surface, because I knew it wouldn't be practical or helpful in any way. So I thought, just try to bring them across and get them to help you solve this problem. It won't help being silly. But when I got home, it all came out on the canvas immediately. But I've always loved chimpanzees anyway. Who doesn't? They're just so adorable.
Well,
But
we have 44 seconds left. So, what's next for Paul Bergerman?
I've got a book called Special Guests coming out next year. Sherry and I are hoping to release both of the children's books next year. And I've got another collection of poetry coming out soon. So, as I say, but Special Guest is the one I can't wait for, because I haven't quite finished it. But it's been a very long, hard write, but I've enjoyed it, and I'm convinced it's one of my best books. So I'm going to enjoy that when it comes out.
Well,
But
we have 2 seconds left, and I want to say thank you for coming on the show, Paul. I really enjoyed it.
thank you, Susan. Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you. It's even better to actually have a connection with you.
Yes, isn't it? Yes.